Hello again, guys. Sorry, it's been a while since my last post. I'm going to talk today about slope-intercept form of a line. So this is the first form of a line that I've introduced, and the equation is y equals mx plus b. Okay? So just for a second, if you look at this equation without the m and without the b, what you end up with is y equals x, which is, if you remember, the linear parent function. So this is going to form a line, okay? The m here represents what we call the slope, okay? And the b here represents the y-intercept. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about slope. So what slope is your rise over your run. The reason that we use rise over run is because slope is the change in y over the change in x. It is also called, a lot of the times, the rate of change. So slope controls the steepness of the line. Okay, so the whole purpose of the slope-intercept form, the y equals mx plus b, the whole point of that is to graph a line, basically, without having to plug in points or pull up a whole table of ordered pairs. You can simply just use the equation to kind of guide you to where your line's going to be. So let's start with an example. So I'm just going to start with a simple equation. Y is equal to x plus 1. Okay, so the m is the coefficient of x. Right here, if you notice, there's no number in front of x. So the implied number there is just a 1. So my slope is 1. Okay? The y-intercept, the b, is going to be positive 1. So you always begin with the b. That point is going to be on the y-axis, which means it's going to be 0, 1. So I'm going to start my graph at 1. So that's going to be my first point. And then my slope tells me where I'm going to go from there. So since my slope here is just 1, I need to make that a rise over run. So whenever you have a whole number, you can put it over 1, and now it's in a fraction form, and I can use it to guide my rise over run. So here I'm going to rise 1, run 1. Let me show you my thought process here. Okay, so I'm going to rise 1. Oop, not what I wanted to do. Rise 1, run 1. Okay? And my point's going to go right there. The pattern could also go the other way. So I could also go down 1, over 1. And this pattern continues infinitely. And if you pick any 2 points on this line, so I'm going to very poorly try to draw a straight line there. There we go. Okay, so let's just say I chose this point and this farther point, okay? If I look at my rise over my run ratio, so I would have to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I would run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my rise over run would still give me 1. So no matter where I choose 2 points on that line, my slope will always be the same. Okay, let's look at another one. Remember, we're using slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We're going to use the equation y equals 1/2 x minus 2. If you think you've got the hang of this and you want to try it on your own, go ahead and pause the video here and then unpause it to check your answer. Okay, so let's go through this, and maybe you're checking, maybe you're just figuring this all out together. So let's start with the slope. Okay, so the slope here is always the coefficient of x. This time it's already in a fraction form, so I'm just going to write it as 1/2. My y-intercept is -2. So down here, I end up with a -2. So my first point is going to be on the y-axis at -2. That was my b. The slope is 1/2, so I'm going to rise 1 from that point and run 2. So that puts my ordered pair there. Or I could also go the other way, go down 1 and over 2. And there's my line. Okay, there are 4 main types of slope. Okay, so I'm going to explain each of them, and then I'm going to show you a quick way to remember the different types of slope. So the first one is if your line is just increasing, then your slope is positive. Okay? If your line is decreasing, then your slope is negative. So what I'm saying by positive and negative is that your m would be a positive number on the first one, your m would be a negative number on the second one. Okay? There are also times when you may end up with a vertical line, and this slope is called undefined. And this happens when your equation is just x equals a constant, or x is just equal to a number, okay? And then the last one is if your slope is just horizontal, or sorry, if your line is just horizontal, this slope is zero slope, okay? Undefined and zero are very different. One has zero slope, one has undefined slope, and their equations would also look different. A zero slope would be y is equal to a constant, as of undefined would be x equals a constant. So what's the easy way to keep that all in your mind, you ask? Well, I'll tell you, you're going to want to meet somebody named Mr. Slope Guy. Okay? Mr. Slope Guy has a positive eye, kind of a inquisitive eyebrow, a negative eye, another eyebrow, a undefined nose, and he has zero motion. He's been doing this algebra stuff for way too long. So that nose symbolizes undefined, and this mouth represents zero slope. And then over here is your positive, and over here is your negative slope. Alright, well that's all I've got for you today, so I hope this video helped out a little bit. Tune in next time for more videos over algebra, and thanks for tuning in.